All right, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to my, let's call it next adventure. I think we're doing about 11-mile drive to DC, and we're gonna go to the National Mall, and then I'm gonna pivot from there and go to Georgetown, because I think that, yeah, today's a good day to evaluate how far we've gone with beta. I think I try to do this once a week because, again, sometimes it feels like it's getting better within the update, and I talked through some of the theories there, but you know, it might also be me just making it up because I probably, you know, I'm in different kind of states of mind throughout the day, right? Coming from work, you know, from a workout, whatever. So my perception of the vehicle's performance or my patience with the vehicle is different depending on what, you know, what my mental state is. This is so interesting. What is it gonna, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that one. Let's see. Let's see. So it entered the third lane, which seems to be like a merge lane. That's exactly what you or I would do, I guess. I say you or I, anybody else is enter the third lane, so that works. I was a little concerned I was going to try to enter the main lane, but I think if I look at the visualizations again, it's possible that I would see why that decision was made, but not bad. Okay, so just looking at some of the road dynamics. So around me, you know, the speed limit is 45, but you know, what I'm noticing is every other car is going above 45, right? Now, luckily I'm on that right lane, but when I look behind me, you know, other cars are catching up to me. So is it good, is it bad? No. I think it'll be interesting to see how the driving dynamics change over time, right? Like, will there be a set-in for, you know, adapt to other vehicles? Which that in itself is so dangerous, right? Like, it's probably even best to just stay the speed limit. So I'm just gonna do that, right? Especially being, you know, Maryland, DC, Virginia area, they have speed sensors, right? Which I like that. I'd rather deal with a ticket in the mail than a police officer. That's just me. So I am kind of a fan of those speed sensors. I mean, I've gotten a couple of tickets here and there, and it usually happens when I'm like, you know, I enter plaid mode, you know, I enter human plaid mode. Right? And, you know, let me explain to you all this feeling, right? So I think having your car drive you around all the time, it's like, you know, I guess it's a humbling feeling, but sometimes, like, I miss driving. So in those instances, I just take over and I'm like, I'm running late, or I just want to see what it feels like. And those are usually the times where I get the automatic tickets. And it's like I always forget, but then I think I always flash back to Waze. Waze is Waze, the app tells you, you know, when there's speed sensors and stuff like that, which I think Waze is so freaking awesome. I wish every vehicle had a, you know, some of the reporting features like Waze, because I mean, they're so helpful, especially on long trips, not knowing what state you're in, and some of the little sneaky stuff that, you know, the local municipalities have put in place to enforce safety. But which all those things are positive. Like, I love it. Yeah. So like, I'm going 50. Look at the Benz in front of me. It's like, he's too slow. And then I have a Volvo. Same thing. They're all like, he drives too slow. Why? Why is he driving so slow? All right. So I think you could possibly question my decision making. Why would you buy the fastest car in order to drive the speed limit? And the explanation I always give is, when I want on-demand performance, like, it's there. When I want, efficiency, it's there. When I want, like, anything I could ever want from a car, it's there. And, to be upfront with you, you can't beat that in life, right? It's like a Swiss Army knife. This is what driving this Tesla Model S Plaid feels like. Everything that you could ever want from a car, it's there, right? My son, when he's, we're still having him facing, rear facing. When he gets front facing, he will have the ability to watch any TV show that he would like to watch while we're driving because it's there, right? In fact, you know what, that reminds me, I probably need to do like a 6-month review for this vehicle. And it should be called the Swiss Army knife of vehicles, because it's all there. I remember when I used to have my Model 3, I would take these long 8-hour road trips in California, right? Like literally north to south, south to north. And the driving experience, so there was no FSD beta, but there was Navigate on autopilot, and that feature set just made these road trips a lot more manageable. Just being able to just sit there, observe, stop every 2 hours, at a supercharger station, watch a movie on your screen on YouTube, right? Like, no other car does that. And you could have gotten the cheapest one and have done that exact thing, right? You would have spent $30,000. In fact, you would have, I said 30, it was 35, 36, and then it kind of went up. Now it's 45. And even at the time, they had a $7,500 tax rebate. So you could have spent, let's call it $28,000, and have had the ability to sit down and watch a movie when you're resting, right, from a drive. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Yeah, so I'm accelerating out of this confusion. And that was one of my plaid movements right there. I'm in human plaid mode. So why did I intervene there? So that vehicle was merging. It was one of those merge lanes, and I think that's one thing that most drivers will complain about with autopilot or FSD in general, is when you approach those weird little merge lanes where other vehicles are merging in, the vehicle defaults to slowing down. And I don't know if that's the right approach, because part of the challenge is the vehicle behind you. So number one, you have the right of way, right? So when you slow down like that, it has an effect. In fact, let me save that. It has an effect on the vehicle behind you, because the vehicle behind you now has to slow down, when in their minds they're like, why is he slowing down? He has the right of way, or she has the right of way. So I don't know what the right answer to that is. I think there are opportunities for you to default to slow down and give the vehicle who's trying to enter the right of way. But I would say that might be one of those mental things that we have to consider, right? It's right, because the way the car slows down, and it, that in itself is what creates the reaction of, like, I need to avoid this troublesome situation, right? It's like the, oh snap, why are you slowing down? And then you see the vehicle. But I don't know, that's a tough one. And just thinking a little deeper about it, I think you could go either way. You could employ the approach where the vehicle did what it did back there. But I don't know if you all noticed this, the car that I was slowing down for, actually, what did it do? That was kind of weird. So the car that I was slowing down for was also doing a little, confused chicken dance, right? So how do I put this? So it slowed down like, hey, you had the right of way, and then I slowed down, and it was like, okay, then I can go. But then I was like, right? So that back and forth dance just could have led to a bad situation. So what did I do? I went into human plaid mode, took over, and then accelerated my way out of it. Which I could have just slowed down completely, but I think you just have to consider all the vehicles around you. But hopefully you all understand kind of what I'm trying to convey, because it's one of those things that I think will need to be accounted for the future. Like I said, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, so like, I'm obviously trying to enter the city smartly. I think that here's another thing too, right? Like, when I would take those long road trips, I was so focused on efficiency, right? Like, trying to maximize on range. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, it doesn't really matter. Because, I mean, I didn't do that when I had a gas car. I just drove to the things that empty. And I think I started caring about it because I was watching YouTube videos and listening to people in the news, when the truth is, just drive till your car says empty or is close to, and then charge. But yeah, having an EV is an interesting battle, right? Like, removing yourself from preconceived notions. Yeah, but I'm in the market, I think, for a Model Y. I was gonna get a Model X, but it's like, why would I spend that much money? Even though, like, the thought of touching the doors to close on the screen and all that other, you know, Fabergé egg stuff sounds pretty cool, but I think a Model Y might be my next purchase. I like seeing them. So the one to my left is a Performance, which I don't think I would buy Performance. I think if I was to buy one, it would be either a dual motor or whatever. If they release that standard range, I'll get that. Which I think the standard range has the iron phosphate battery. And I'm very intrigued by the iron phosphate battery, the iron battery option, right? I think what intrigues me about it is that so this is what's interesting about iron phosphate. Vehicles with iron phosphate are cheaper than traditional high nickel or nickel batteries, and you look at them and the price point is so much lower that, you know, you almost feel like you're getting less of a product. And the truth is, you're kind of not. And it's almost even better, right? So the claim is that the batteries last longer, right? I think they're marketed as million mile batteries, even though the warranties don't correlate, right? And I think that's why they don't say the million mile battery discussion point anymore, because the warranties don't look like that, right? Because I bet you if companies like Tesla, you know, identified, I just took over there because there was some weird stuff happening there. But let's turn this thing back on. Yeah, and I'm gonna turn it back on when I get back on the highway. I was trying to make a left, which I guess it could have made a left to get on this outer lane, but I didn't want to induce friction, so I just took over. But I just reactivated there, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, so the iron phosphate battery discussion. Again, the vehicles are cheaper, but it's probably the best value for an electric vehicle is for you to buy a vehicle with iron phosphate battery. Ooh, it's slowing down weirdly because it's not seeing an opportunity to enter that lane. Come on, go. Okay, woo. That was a little weird, so I had to accelerate a little bit to overcome that friction. And I might have to do it again. I might have to go human plaid mode. Let's see. Vehicle didn't let me go human plaid mode. That was awesome. We made it. Okay, so switch to navigating on autopilot there. That was okay. It was a questionable area. But anyway, iron phosphate. Yeah, so I'm thinking that I'm gonna wait and see what happens on the iron phosphate discussion space, right? Because it is increasingly evident that I'm going to get the best value out of an EV with the iron phosphate battery, because most of my drives are not within the capacity space, right? I guess the downside of iron phosphate is during cold temperatures they're not as good as nickel. Is one thing I've heard. And then the other thing is, so they like to be charged at 100%, but at the 100% capacity side, but I lose out on regen, right? So I think there might be like an efficiency discussion there. Again, this is me thinking critically about what are some implications of a iron phosphate purchase. But yeah, I think those are some interesting things to consider. So what happens if I charge it to 100 all the time? What are the implications? I'm also hearing about manganese batteries, right? I think they call it NM, so nickel manganese with high manganese content as the in between. And there's all these charts that kind of that show different performance characteristics, and it feels like high manganese batteries have some of the performance characteristics. Actually, they seem like a middle ground between iron phosphate and high nickel. So we'll see. I think larger vehicles like Model S and X, I think are, I'm just gonna change things here. S and X are large, right? So I don't know. I guarantee Tesla probably does not have plans to integrate iron phosphate or high. Well, I don't know about the manganese side, but I don't think, based on what we've seen on TV, there were plans to integrate iron phosphate batteries. And I think that they are going to try to treat the S and X as their premium segment with fixed ranges. So still interesting to kind of see where we go with that. Yeah, so these is high traffic, right? So what you all are seeing is navigate on autopilot in a high traffic scenario, and it's actually doing pretty good. I don't see, like, I'm not on FSD beta. All right, we are back in the so the vehicle is going to try to go to, well, look at this rate of speed, is pretty high. Ooh. And beta's on now. Okay, good. Now there's a red arrow, says no turn on red, and it actually stopped on the no turn on red. So we are winning. We are winning. Okay. Arrow turned green, the vehicle starts going. I'm just over here screaming, no curb rims, please. Bye. Ooh, so apparently there's a museum of the Bible. I had no idea that there was such a thing in DC. So I'm gonna have to check that out with the Wi-Fi. It's on the right, on 4th and E. Yeah, around 4th and E in Washington, D.C. there is a museum of the Bible. No, I had no idea. And there's a family next to me. It looks like they're getting in the vehicle. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make a left. These dynamics of waiting for vehicles to enter the road. Okay. I was like, please don't stop, please don't stop, please don't stop. because it almost stopped. But actually, I'm gonna be upfront with y'all. I tapped the accelerator because I was like, this thing's moving too slow. I just tapped it, nudged. I thought it was still gonna, you know, I nudged it to get it moving from the light, because I knew the car behind me, you know, would have had an opportunity to get decisive real quick. And that's what happened there. Okay, so we are in the National Mall area. At this light, I'm now going to head to Georgetown.